Good morning, everybody. This is Stephen Pugh of the Home Bible College. I want to do a password for today. The passage is in 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 7 to 13. This is just the second part of a discussion in which Paul talks about questions of conscience. And in this particular section, shall I read it for you? It says, howbeit, there is not in every man that knowledge, for some with conscience of the idol unto this hour eat it as a thing offered unto an idol, and their conscience being weak is defiled. But meat commendeth us not to God, for neither if we eat are we better, and neither if we eat not are we the worse. But take heed, lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak. For if any man see thee which hast knowledge sit at meat in the idol's temple, shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols? And through thy knowledge shall the weak brother perish, for whom Christ died. But when you sin so against the brethren, and wound their weak conscience, you sin against Christ. Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth, lest I make my brother to offend. So Paul is giving teaching regarding food offered to idols. Previously he has said that there is only one God and that the idol is no God at all. And so the meat has not changed at all. It's still plain meat. However, not everyone has this same clarity of thinking. There are some who have a conscience about food that has been offered to idols, and they think that if they eat it, they will have sinned. Therefore, they will have a bad conscience and lose fellowship with God. All of this is in their own imagination, but it is very real for them. What we eat does not make us actually any better before God or worse. The problem is that the Christians who feel at liberty to eat food offered to idols must not allow their liberty to become an obstacle to those whose consciences are tender. If a Christian with a tender conscience sees a Christian with no conscience sit down to eat a meal of meat that has been offered to an idol, then he might be encouraged to do the same thing, and in doing so, his relationship with God will be spoiled. If we sin against our brother in a way that hurts their tender conscience, then we are sinning against Christ. So, if my eating of meat offered to idols offends my brother, then I would rather not eat meat till the end of the world, in case I make my brother to think that he has sinned against God. Now, what this is showing us is that all of us as Christians, we live our lives with conscience. We live our lives in the awareness of our moral responsibility before God. And if a Christian feels that he has sinned against God in his conscience, then he has sinned against God. If he feels as if he has not sinned against God in his conscience, then he hasn't. And the difficulty here is that different people will have a different personal awareness, a different sense of what sin is. And this is where there's difficulties amongst Christians. Some people will have a conscience about something. Another Christian won't. So we have to be careful not to allow our liberty, those of us that have no conscience about an issue, to make sure that we don't have our liberty demonstrated in such a way that somebody else can be hurt by it. You say, how can they be hurt by it? Well, because they might copy what you do. And if they copy what you do and they think that they have sinned, then they have sinned. And if they have sinned, their relationship with the Lord has been spoiled. What a tragedy. So what do we do then? What we have to do is we have to be aware that everything that we do is seen by other people, and that what we do is something that can hurt the conscience of other people. Wow. So we don't just live to ourselves. We don't just please ourselves. We actually live to please God. Now, my password is that little phrase in verse 12. Paul says, when you sin so against the brethren and wound their weak conscience, you sin against Christ. Well, there we are. That's my password for today, and that's what I'll be taking into the day, and that's what I'll be sharing with people today. And I wish you every blessing, and God bless you all. Have a great day. Bye for now.